All right, how do I talk about this without sounding like a total pig? If you do a search for betas on YouTube right now, you're going to find something out very quickly, and that is that this is a niche that is dominated by women. Now, of course, this isn't a bad thing because these women are doing a phenomenal job creating content on everything there is to know about betas, and they're certainly easier to look at than this thing. But what about the man? What about the manly man? What about the man that is afraid of putting together a fancy little cutesy tank on his desk that people might make fun of him for or make him turn in his man card for? What about that guy? What about the guy that wants a manly tank? Well, that's what I'm going to try to create in this video. So here's the deal. Lisa bought an aquarium that she was going to use for a demo at the Big Fish deal back a couple of weeks ago, but we didn't end up going to that because, well, you know. So the tank was just here. I came up with this idea. What if I was to do a manly tank? Lisa was all for it. So now here we are. Now, before we get too far into this, I do want to make you aware that this video is in fact sponsored by API. It's absolutely a perfect situation because we were doing this anyway and they said, hey, we've got some beta products that we would love for you to talk about. So it's perfect. It's like we're already doing it. So we might as well talk about these products. And the good thing is they're products that we use anyway. So no brainer. So stay tuned till the end of this video. I'll also update you on what's going on with this tank here. Very excited to finally get this tank down here. It's a tank that you haven't seen in a long time. So the idea here is to create a tank that is easy to maintain, looks really nice, and is suitable for a man. And of course, it all is going to start with the tank. This is a 14-gallon Aqueon cube, rimless cube that we got at Petco. I think it's like 80 bucks for this tank. It's nothing outrageous, but then again, it's not dirt cheap either, but it's a high-end looking kind of tank that you can stick on your desk. It's not too big, too intrusive. I've got an 8-foot desk, so it works perfectly fine in my situation. And it's nice, it's modern looking, and you know, I don't know how manly it looks, but it looks fine. So the next thing is the filter. This is an Aqueon Quiet Flow 20E internal power filter. This video is not sponsored by Aqueon. It just happens to be that all of these products were at Petco. We got them all at the same time, and they're all Aqueon. But anyway, this is a nice filter because it's an internal filter. Again, very easy to maintain, and it's dead quiet. If you're putting this in your office, and you don't want to have all that distraction from noise, then this is going to be absolutely perfect. It's completely internal. The pump is inside, so it's under the water, and it's making absolutely no noise whatsoever. Now, I know in watching this footage, you'll see that I put the filter down too low. I have never used these before, and of course, I don't read directions. So I figured it out as soon as I filled the tank up that it was too low, and I went ahead and raised it up, and you'll see in the end it is at the right place. This is a nice filter for ease of maintenance. All you got to do is change that cartridge out every once in a while. Super easy, no brainer. Next, we move on to the substrate. This is a gravel that I've used in tons of tanks. I mean, I've been using this for decades. It's easy, it's very natural looking, and I don't know, it just looks really good. And it's also good for hiding things like fish waste and stuff like that. But wait, John, this is a beta tank. You need plants in a beta tank. I know you do. Betas like plants. They like to be able to swim around through the plants. They like to feel safe and be able to hide behind them and stuff like that if they feel spooked for whatever reason. So plants are absolutely critical. But how are we going to put plants on this kind of a substrate? Well, I'll show you. It's fake plants. Yes, I am actually going to go for fake plants in this tank, and I'm not ashamed of it. The thing is, again, we're going for easy, right? We want this to be super simple. We want it to look nice, but also be really easy to maintain. And live plants would just be too much. So fake plants, the majority of these are the silk plants, so they're nice and soft. They're not going to damage the beta or anything like that, which is one of the things that you have to worry about with plastic plants. They can be a little bit rigid, so you want to make sure that they're nice and soft And the silk ones actually look more real too, so you can't lose there. The best thing about this is we don't have to fertilize them. They don't need certain light requirements, and they're never gonna die. Now, the one thing I will mention with these is that you can see some of them had brightly colored, like little neon things on them, which I just thought looked ridiculous. So I actually just popped those off. The cool thing about these plastic plants is that they're easy to kind of modify. So one, I just had to snip them off with a razor, and the other one, they just popped right off. And taking those little neon sections out of them made them look a whole lot more realistic. And then there is the wood. This is the really cool part. And this to me is where it goes from being a normal aquarium to a manly aquarium, because we've got this huge, gnarly piece of driftwood in the center. This has been a centerpiece for me in dozens of aquariums. And to be honest with you, I forgot that I even had it. It was in a tote in our garage, buried underneath a bunch of stuff, and we went looking and I found it and I said, yes, this is perfect. I love it. And this is the perfect size for this Betta tank. It's going to provide a nice little cave down there at the bottom, which will be great for the Betta to swim through. You can't lose. It's absolutely perfect, and it looks awfully manly. And then I added some smaller pieces of driftwood. These have rough edges on them, and they've got little claw-like things on them, and it just looks manly. To me, it's better than using like things like pirate ships and skulls and stuff like that. Yeah, that stuff would certainly be manly, but maybe not for me. So now let's take a second to talk about our sponsor for today's video, API. You know API, of course you do. They're makers of some of the most commonly used products in the fish hobby. We have been fortunate enough to work with them on a previous video, and even more fortunate that they wanted to work with us again. We're going to be talking about their products in the next 2 Tuesday videos, this one and Lisa's video next week. Hear more about that at the end of this video. But the first thing to talk about is the Betta water conditioner. These are products that are made specifically for Betta tanks. They're specifically formulated for Betta tanks. We've been using this product for a while now, and it seems to be doing great. I mean, how do you really know? You know, when you put the product in, do the fish do well? Do they thrive? Are they doing fantastic with it? Yes, they certainly are. So this is specifically formulated with aloe and green tea extract to be specific for Bettas. So I've been happy with this product. It's a small bottle, which is kind of cute because almost everything to do with Bettas is always going to be small. So it's a little bottle, but the good thing about it, as I almost dropped it on the floor, is with these water conditioners, you're not using very much of it when you're doing a water change in a tank that is very small usually. Most people are going to have Bettas in a 15-gallon or smaller tank, so you're doing small water changes, and this little bottle here will last you for a very long time. Happy with this product so far. Everything seems to be going well with it. We've been using this one for a while. This is the one that we have the most experience with as far as the chemicals go. The second one is the Betta Fix. Now what this is, I'm a big believer in Melifix and Pimafix from API. Those are products I've been using for, I don't even know how long, for simple issues. Maybe not the extreme fish diseases. That's when you'd go up to an API product like a General Cure or a erythromycin or something like that. But with minor stuff, with things like fin damage or sores on the exterior, or even some funguses and things like that that can develop on the outside of the fish, this is going to take the place of Pimafix and Melifix. It's Betta Fix. You got to love that. We have used this product a couple of times in our fish room because I think we have like 43 Bettas. So we have used this and it has given us some good success. We've had these products now for months. They sent them to us quite a long time ago so that we could familiarize ourselves with them and all of that. And it's worked out very, very well. Like I said, in situations where we would use Melifix or Pimafix, we put this in instead, and it works fine. Now, we keep a lot of Betta sororities, and sometimes you are going to have some little battle scars because, you know, they're going to do what they do. So this has been great. We take them, put them into a hospital tank. We use this, and most of the time, we don't have to do anything but use this. So Big believer in this product. I definitely like it, along with the Betta water conditioners. We've been using this one for quite some time. We've been using this one for about 2 months now. We've had good success with them. I'm speaking from experience, not because they're a sponsor, but they are a sponsor, and thank you for that. And then we're going to talk about the API Betta food. This is a flake formulated specifically for bettas, and the fish love it. I'll put B-roll up over top of me of some of our fish just absolutely going to town on this food. They seem to absolutely love it. And you know what? That is the most important thing when it comes to fish food. Yeah, you can have all the best ingredients and the best sources and all of that, but if your fish don't eat it, it don't matter worth nothing. If they go after it and they eat it and they enjoy it and they're always going after it, that is the most important thing about any fish food. And we have not had a problem getting any betta to accept this food. They absolutely love it. So yes, 3 products from API made specifically for bettas. Bettas are super hot, so it makes sense for them to do this. And they all 3 work very well. And they are 3 of like 5 API products that I used on this. We'll get into more of that later. So now it's time to fill this up and get it going. You can see again, the filter is installed way too low. Don't pay attention to that. Once it was full, I raised it up and got it to the right level so that it's working efficiently. I've never used this before, and of course I didn't look at the directions, and so it is what it is. But once I got everything full and got it running, I realized that filter needed to be raised up, so raised it up and everything's great. I used API Quick Start to get this tank jump started on the cycle, and also used the Betta water conditioner in here just to give those little extra things, the green tea extract, the aloe, all that kind of stuff. This is kind of like a beta version of Stress Coat, so absolutely perfect. And why not put it in there? It makes sense. We're getting this started. We need to get rid of the chlorine, chloramine, all that. We are on city water, so it is important to have that. So once I got it running, we put all of these chemicals in it, and it was just a little bit of waiting before we could stick the fish in there. All right, so here it is in all its manly glory. So this tank has been running for about 5 or 6 days now. When we set it up, we used the Quick Start from API, which is a product that I've been using for, I don't even know how long. I don't know how many tanks I've used it in. I can't even count them at this point. I've used this so many times to get tanks started, and I've done a couple of water changes in the process of cycling this tank and using, you see it sitting right here next to it. Yes, I realized that this is a sponsored API video, but this was sitting here for a reason, because I'm getting it through the cycling process. So if you're not familiar with the cycling process, you're gonna wanna be if you're gonna start up a tank like this, or any fish tank for that matter. I've got a bunch of videos on that topic. I'll put them in a card up in the top left corner, which I think is that corner, right? I think. Still haven't figured that out, but I'll put them up there if you need some help understanding the cycling process. I've done this enough times to where I feel completely comfortable having everything be brand new, setting it all up, putting a fish in it within just a few days of setting it up, and I feel very comfortable knowing that I'm going to be able to get through it. But if you're brand new to this and you don't even know what I'm talking about right now, I would definitely suggest that you watch those videos to kind of familiarize yourself with how the whole system of a fish tank works. If you don't understand that yet, you're going to probably have some problems. Let's talk about what it is that makes this a manly tank. I've been talking about it the whole time. This is the manly tank. Why is this a manly tank? It's very simple. Men, in my opinion, are generally lazy. I know there's probably men already. John, how dare you? How dare you call me late? Come on. You know that we all would like to take the easy route if we could. If there's an easier way to do something, that's what we want to do. And this tank is all about easy. First is the substrate. I love this substrate. I've used it so many times, like I talked about earlier. It's a natural looking small gravel. It's going to hide things very well. Things like fish food and fish poop and just gnarly stuff that falls down to the bottom of an aquarium. If you have sand or something like that, you probably see it a lot, and this is going to help that. It just does a great job of hiding things while also looking very natural at the same time. And then we move on to the plants. I promise you, the plants in this tank will never die, and they never need any fertilizer. The whole reason for using fake plants in here was, again, to make this easy. This is a manly tank. We want it to be easy. Or maybe it's not that you're manly and you're lazy and all of that. Maybe you're going to put something like this on your desk at work, and it needs to be super easy because it's at work and you can't really mess with it all that much. Again, fake plants are never going to die. They don't need any fertilizer, and they're not going to grow outside of your tank and get all crazy, and they're not going to come with 30,000 snails inside of them. No, these are perfect for ease of use, and they look nice. They might not look really real, but they look real enough. And then the last thing that makes this easy is the fact that the equipment that I used on this is super simple. I mean, lights are almost always simple, but this one up here, just a quick touch. If I can reach it, turns it off. You got to touch it 2 times. Once it goes to blue, the next it goes off. But you just touch it, it turns right on. Very simple. Again, if this is on your desk at work, you walk in, boop, it's on, you're good to go. So light, I mean, the light is what it is. There's no real such thing as a hard light to use. But anyway, and the filter. Again, this has a disposable cartridge in it, very simple to replace it, and with there not being live plants in there, the carbon is a non-issue. Everything's perfectly fine. So it's going to help to keep the tank clean, keep it from stinking, and it's just going to generally keep it fresh and everything else. So very, very easy, and that is the general theme here. We want it to look manly, and we want it to be manly as far as it being easy to take care of. And I think we pulled it off. So now I want to introduce you to Scott. Yes, I named this fish Scott, and I would love to hear in the comment section below why you think I named this fish Scott. If you know me and you know who my friends are, it shouldn't be very hard for you to figure that out. But Scott is a king betta. I call them king bettas. That's what I've always called them. Others call them giant bettas, but these are bettas that are basically twice the size of your normal betta. And he's a king betta. So that might give you a hint as to why I would name a king betta Scott. But I absolutely love this fish. I fell in love with him since the second I saw him. And here's the interesting thing. I'm going to tell you the real story here of how this whole thing went down. Lisa went and bought a king betta for this tank to give away at the Big Fish deal. Again, this is the original intent of this tank. And I fell in love with that tank. Or not the tank. I fell in love with the fish. The tank too, but I fell in love with that fish. I had never kept a king betta before. I saw that, I said, I love it. That's a manly betta right there. That's the first thing that I thought. And so her and I got to talking, and I made the decision. No, let me rephrase that. I didn't make the decision. I asked her for permission. Can I use this tank? Can I put it on my desk? And can I put that king betta in it? She said, sure, why not? And then she went to the store and came home with this one, with Scott. And she said, I found this one, and I think you might like this one a little bit more. And I looked at it and said, oh yes, yes I do. We still have the other one, and I'm going to tell you about where that one's going to go in just a minute. But I fell in love head over heels with this fish the first second that I saw him. He is absolutely gorgeous. His markings are phenomenal. I love this fish. And let me tell you the interesting thing. They sold it to us in a cup, of course, because that's how they sell these bettas. I had that cup. As a matter of fact, it's right here. This little cup had this half moon king male in it. And that fish is about 2.5 inches long in this little thing. And he sat here for 2 days. I felt horrible. I literally lost sleep with this fish sitting in here. And he, the whole time, was sitting about right here. And I usually sit right over here. He stared at me the entire time. Like, come on, dude. Really? You gonna leave me in here like this? Look at that tank. It's right there. Why can't I go in there? Come on. What's wrong with you? So him and I bonded over some desk time, but yes, I fell in love with this fish, not only for the way he looks, but also, I don't know, we connected. I know how weird that sounds, but it's true. Sitting there at my desk, look over, he's staring at me with those big eyes. I fell in love with this little guy. So he's my guy. And it's weird that I love something so much named Scott. So as you can see, this is an absolutely stunning beta. I am absolutely thrilled. I've got Lisa to thank for all of this, because if she hadn't done any of these things, I would have never had the idea to do the manly beta tank. I'd love to hear what you've done in your aquariums to make your aquariums manly. If you think that you've got the recipe for a manly aquarium, let me know down in the comment section. But for this, I think it is a perfect manscape. Although that means a completely different thing, if you know what I'm saying. But I think it's a perfect manly aquarium for us men, that we don't want the frilly stuff. We like to look at the frilly stuff, but we like it to look more manly. I've got a dark mahogany. It's not mahogany, but that was my Ron Burgundy impersonation. But it's a dark wood cave in there, and all of these. It's manly to me. I don't know. How manly can you make an aquarium? I wasn't going to put skulls and stuff like that in there. I mean, come on. But anyway, this has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this, and hopefully not too many people are offended by me constantly saying manly in this video. But I hope you understand what I mean when I'm talking about making something manly. This basically means make it really easy to take care of so that I can continue to be lazy and not look girly. All right, so I promised you in the beginning of this video we were going to talk about this tank here a little bit. This is the 75-gallon that I originally set up when I came back to YouTube back in September of 2018. It actually sat in between these two bookcases right here, and it was up in the office, which is now Lisa's. I'm going to show you this tank a little bit more up close in just a minute, but I wanted to talk about that office right now because Lisa is up there as we speak doing a project just like this one. She's doing her own beta tank, and it's going to be a girly beta tank. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and that's going to be for the other king beta that we were talking about a minute ago. And there's our set for 10 things, in case you're wondering. It's not very fancy, is it? It's a green screen up on the wall. But anyway, I also wanted to take you over here and show you, if you haven't seen it in the live streams yet, I wanted to show you Lisa's tank. It's become Lisa's tank now. I mean, well, I guess she kind of said the angels are mine, but this tank is turning out to be an absolutely gorgeous tank. She scaped it last week because what else does she have to do? I mean, you can't go outside, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This is actually the scape that was going to be in the tank for the big fish deal. But since we didn't end up going, she used it for that tank. So it looks really nice. So let's take a closer look at this 75 and then we'll be done for the day. So these 4 goldfish that are in here, this one's name is actually Stevie. This one was a rescued feeder fish. And we can actually say rescued because that fish was gonna be food and Lisa saved him or her. She named this fish Stevie because of Stevie Nicks. Yep. The other 3 are, this one was actually bought for me by Lisa as a gift. That one was purchased for me by Lisa as a gift. This one we picked up at KGTropicals when we were up there last week. 75-gallon tank, nothing really on the inside. I feel like the goldfish are decoration enough. This has the Fluval 3.0 on the top. That is the Marine 3.0, not the Planted 3.0. And we are filtering it with the Fluval 407. I did a video on that a while back. Check that out if you haven't seen it yet. I'll put a card up in the top corner, but yeah, there you go. It's down here, finally. So there you go, kind of all over the place today. This was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the Manly tank. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. You're probably gonna be seeing a lot of that tank in the near future, particularly once it gets, you know, all cleared up. It looks good now, but it's still a little bit cloudy, and that bothers me because I'm looking at it all day long. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this. Be on the lookout next week for Lisa's version of this tank, the girly version of this tank. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and there you go. Thank you. We'll see you next week.